Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry about the lighting, I'm still trying to figure that whole situation out. And am I going to do my videos in this spot all the time? Probably not, but until I figure out the lighting situation, this is probably what you're going to get. So I'm here today to bring you a special video about my infertility journey. It was quite a journey. When I was 15 years old, I noticed that my periods were super irregular. So I told my mom about it, and she took me to the doctor, and they evaluated me. They asked me a couple questions, and they said, well, you probably have PCOS. So I was like, okay, what is PCOS? An autoimmune disorder that basically makes cysts grow on your ovaries. Just take birth control and you should be fine. This was at 15. So I was 15. My mom had never heard about it previously, so we were just like, okay. So I took the pill until I was about 17. And then I realized that it was making me gain weight. It was making me want to eat all the time. It was making me grumpy. And I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And I went off of it. And then around 18, my periods were messed up again. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go back on it and just deal with the symptoms of it, because when you don't get your period, you feel sluggish and bloated, and I don't know which one's better than the other, not sure. But so then I went back on it at 18, and then I met my husband actually when I was 19 years old, and I was on the pill and I got pregnant. Did I take the pill perfectly? Probably not. But I never stopped taking it, so I still say I got pregnant on the pill. That was at 19 years old. So obviously I was pregnant, we had him, and my periods were perfect after that for about probably three to 5 years, somewhere in between there. So from the time my son was born until probably 2 years ago, my husband and I never prevented pregnancy. We never tried specifically to like time my ovulation or like do IVF or IUI or anything like that. We just wanted it to be natural. If it was going to happen, just let it happen. So around the time that my son was about 10 years old, we lost hope. I would say both of us were just like, you know what? It hasn't happened. It's probably not going to happen. Let's just close that chapter and we can move on. So during the time that we were not able to get pregnant or didn't get pregnant, so many people would ask, well, when are you gonna have your next baby? Or how many kids do you want? Don't you want more children? The answer was always yes, I did. And I did want to get pregnant and I did want more children, but I couldn't. And I never really let anyone know that. I never really vocalized that. Whenever anybody would ask, I would say, oh, you know, in God's timing, we're good right now, even though internally in my heart, I wasn't good. You know, I wanted another baby, but I didn't want people to feel bad for me, and I didn't want people to be like, judge me, like, oh, she's not woman enough, she can't get pregnant. So that's just all I said. I said in God's timing, and that was it. When my son was around 11 years old, I got really ill, like digestively, and I couldn't eat anything. I lost 50 pounds in 3 months. I was nauseous all the time. Medical doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. They just gave me stress medication, which I'm not gonna deny was probably part of it, the big chemical imbalance that was going on in my body. So I ended up going to a holistic doctor, and he kind of diagnosed me with like a gallbladder issue and adrenal issues, and basically everything that combined is a hormonal imbalance. So he put me on a strict diet, no sugar, no grains, no fat, no dairy for an unlimited amount of time. I did it strictly for 6 weeks. And then I was going a little crazy, so I added some of that stuff back in. During this time that I was ill, my husband was in prayer. We're Christian, and my husband was in prayer, and he was seeking the Lord, and he heard from the Lord that we should become foster parents. And like I said before, we had closed the door to even being able to be pregnant, or, you know, the hope of being pregnant. After we took test after test after test after test over the years, and every single test was negative, we were just like, this is not happening. So he kind of in his mind moved forward, asked the Lord what to do, and he heard from the Lord that we should become foster parents. He came to me with that. I was still pretty ill, kind of in my healing journey, and he says, and I wasn't on board. I was like, I just went through a traumatic illness. I was still super stressed from that. I had started working full time. Our son was only 11, turning 12 at that time. I didn't know what influence these foster children would bring to him, and what influence they would bring into our home in general, and was I ready to deal with it, and did I want to deal with it? The answer to that was all no. So I just kind of shut him out, and I said, I'm not doing it. We're not doing it. So a few months pass, and God begins to soften my heart and say, Sarah, you're gonna do this. This is what I have for you right now. I don't have a pregnancy. I don't have a baby for you right now. This is what I have for you right now. So I surrendered, and I said, okay, babe, we're gonna be foster parents. And we went through the whole process, and we got licensed, and we got our first placement of a little boy and a little girl, 3 and 5 years old, brother and sister. We literally had them for 2 weeks, and one of the weeks that we had them, we had already had vacation plans prior to having them, so we had them in like a respite care, and we went away. So really we only had them for 1 week. And in that week, we learned a lot. We learned on how to love on others and just bring others into your home, and like that it's not all about us. Like we were consumed so badly with us wanting to be pregnant, and us wanting to grow our family, and us wanting to give so much love to something that is just ours. We didn't want to share it with anybody else's kids. But we did. And we learned that it's super special, and that, you know, you have to share your heart with others and not just everything for yourself. And our son learned that also, which was a really good character builder for him. So they went home, thankfully, and I think it was probably 2 weeks later, we got another placement, a little boy, 4 years old. And we had him for probably, I think it was 6 weeks. During this six weeks that we had this little boy, remember, I was on my healing journey from when I had been ill and super nauseous and just couldn't eat a thing. And so during the 6 weeks, the 6-week placement of this little boy with us, I began to feel the same way that I was feeling about 1.5 years ago. Super nauseous, couldn't eat a thing, tired all the time, grumpy. So in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm sick again. I can't handle having this kid here. He's got to go back. We need to call our counselor, and he needs to just go back to the foster care agency, and they need to find him a new placement because I can't handle this. My husband takes one look at me, and he's like, babe, I understand, but I need you to go take a pregnancy test. Let me just tell you, in the 13 years that we were infertile, he never once, not once, you guys, did he ever say, I need you to go take a pregnancy test. So I was like, what? What are you talking about? We're having this conversation about how I can't handle this little boy. And he's like, you just need to go take a pregnancy test. What? So I just kind of like pushed that to the back of my mind. And the next day I went to Target with our biological son. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab one, because over the 13 years, I probably bought one twice a month, because I always thought I was pregnant, but never really was. So I was like, I'll just grab one, whatever. I'll eventually need it again, like whatever. So I grab it, and I get home. I usually like would run home and take them right away and be super excited and just like waiting to see what was gonna happen, even though I had so much negative tests. I would still do that all the time. But this time I bought it, and since we had shut that door years ago, I was like, that was the last thing on my mind that was gonna really happen. So I had it, I bought it, I didn't take it. I kind of waited till the next day. And then, I remember this, my son and my husband were watching TV out in the living room. And I just randomly took the test, like in the bathroom. And then, so like immediately, like I literally peed on the stick. I know, TMI. And it came up positive. Yeah, I literally, like, this was my face. I always thought I'd be like jumping for joy, crying, like screaming, I don't know, anything, but no, I was like I couldn't believe it. So like I was speechless. So then I walk out of the bedroom, and I always had in my head like, okay, if I'm pregnant, I'm gonna set up this cute little thing for John, or get him on video, or like give him a gift and surprise him. No, I literally run out of the bathroom and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God! And he thought someone died, because I had walked out so crazy. He was like, who died? What's wrong? I was like, no, babe, I'm pregnant. And like, you know, sorry, that was my dog. So he gets up and he's like hugging me, and then our son's hugging us, and then that was our journey. We were pregnant, and I ended up going to the doctor. I was already 7 weeks along, and it was super amazing, guys. And I just thank God every day for him. He's definitely a miracle. If you surrender to God, he knows the steps he has for you. Don't think that you know them. Like I thought I closed that door. That's never gonna happen. We don't know. We honestly don't know, and I'm so grateful that I didn't know. Because he's here today, and I'm just grateful. And if you're struggling out there and you feel like you're losing hope, just reach out to him. He knows what's best for you, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. He gave me mine. So if you like this video, guys, just give it a thumbs up and subscribe for weekly videos. Thanks, guys.